And I changed that, so it's a slight change, a little bit of this kind of granite effect, a little bit transparent through the border. We also have the option here called Active Borders. If you're familiar with the Arabesk 2, this is similar as the main DVD menu, but basically it allows you to set up a border so that when this plays in a DVD menu, when you play it back in the player, you're only going to see these colors then. So that way there's a color wrapped around the one that's currently selected, which would be purple. And when you use your remote control to hit OK to play maybe from this thumbnail stamp, then this border around your stamp will suddenly change to this color. That way you have an idea of which one of these thumbnails you're selecting when you're going through the list and which ones you're playing when you hit OK. Again, you won't see this until this plays back in your DVD player. The last option here is called Shadow. Shadow is again referring to your thumbnail stamps. Do you want to have any kind of shadow cast off of them? You can have a shadow cast off with a direction, a size, a blur on those shadows so they're a little softer. And you can choose your color here, again using your familiar color wheel and your transparency levels. Once you hit OK to close this, it's now set up this as your chapter menu. And again, I would recommend currently with the software to come in here and check your settings here and your spelling. This is not something you can currently preview in the DVD menu. You actually have to burn your disk before you can see these chapter menus. So you may want to make sure that everything seems correct here before you actually add this film. Once this is set up correctly, if you hit OK, it's going to close your Edit Chapter menu and keep your decisions. And now that we're in the Add Film, we have a choice of either canceling the Add Film or hitting OK to add your film into Arabesk. So you can go ahead and click on OK, and what it's going to do is it's going to look at your storyboard and see if there's any real-time effects that need to be converted to be streamed into Arabesk. This would be also the same process if you were outputting your project to DV. And we're going to go ahead and push these through for the purpose of this demo. Once the rendering is done of your crossfades or any real-time effects for conversion, then the add film process is going to begin. And this is where it again is compiling your information from your storyboard and moving it into Arabesk. This is going to move it in somewhere around 1:1, so it might be a little bit longer than your storyboard to add it in here, but it's going to be very close. And this is going to push it right in here, and you'll watch the progress bar go through quickly because we have a short 25-second project here. But this is moving that storyboard right into Arabesk. Our first film has now been added into Arabesk. We can add up to 6 films into Arabesk or for the amount of space that you have available for Arabesk. Under the Info Play section, if I click on Film, we can now see here is the wedding montage that's been added into Arabesk. You can choose to remove this film if you wanted to, and remember again we're removing it from Arabesk, not from your project settings. It tells you what you name that film. Tells you the image quality of the audio and video, and allows you to rearrange using these arrows your listing of films. But this is the only one, so these won't have any function here. But we can also hit play here to preview your project, so we can hit play and get an idea of what the compressed storyboard is going to look like once it's been moved into Arabesk. And as your film plays, you can always right-click on your trackball to bring yourself right back here into the Film Info menu. So it's a great way to kind of check your projects and make sure that everything's A-OK in here before you go back out and start adding more films. So I'm going to return back out. I'm going to go up here in Project Settings, and I'm going to choose to switch projects and go to Wedding Ceremony here that's been loaded in. And this one has got a full selection of things that we can actually reference for our chapter menus a little more specifically, including a ceremony, the reception hall here, a whole bunch of clips all put together for a final project. And in Finish, we're going to take the whole storyboard here and we're going to go ahead and move this project into Arabesk. Under Start Program, we'll go into Add Film, and here we're seeing the full wedding. Again, we're going to set our settings for a very compatible choice here of normal and uncompressed, and we can see that the addition of this film or storyboard is only taking up 44% of Arabesk. Under Edit Chapter menu, we're going to see the list of all the scenes on the storyboard for the project. Instead of clicking on Scene Chapters, I'm not going to set up every scene to be a chapter point. We're going to want to go through the listing here and maybe select specific scenes that we probably previously named so we know this is a good starting point to play from your DVD remotes. This one here is called Pictures, so I might call Start Chapter onto that scene. Bride Pictures, I might call a Start Chapter onto that one. As I scroll through here, this might be the arriving guests. That's a chapter point. The beginning of the ceremony is a chapter point. Scrolling down through a quad cam project where we used a multi-cam setup for a wedding, we have the vows. So someone can skip right to the vows. We'll scroll back down through the list, and we're going here, scroll back down through the list, and now we're going here to the reception. Continuing through this until we get to another scene here that's been appropriately named, the first dance. Start a chapter there. Maybe a party dance scene, cake cutting. You get the idea that you can set up different scenes in the scene bin to the storyboard named so that when you come to the Edit Chapter menu, you have a good idea of what scenes you want to have named when you create your chapter menu. So now I'll go ahead and click on Edit Chapter menu. And when this opens up, we're going to see what we had loaded in. And here's our setup. And I can make some changes. Of course, first thing is I might want to get rid of the title and give this a new name. And of course, on our stamps, each thumbnail stamp can be given a different type of scene if you want to. Again, we can name each one of these thumbnails. So you have a lot of choices to come in here and make changes. Under context, we can see under the other pages what it looks like on maybe page 2 now, so you can see what those are set up for. And if you want to make any other rearrangements, you can come in here. And again, we're going to want to do this before you add your film. So if there's any changes you want to make here to any of these thumbnail stamps, whether they're being renamed, whether you're changing the stills or the border attributes, any of these things that you do, you want to do here first before you actually add your film. Once you've made your changes and you're happy with these options, this is what's going to happen when it comes to the DVD menu when someone's playing it back in their player, is that they can highlight each one of these thumbnail stamps and maybe they want to select reception. One thing I might want to change here is the background, so I might select a different background to work with. So that might be our background, or actually I don't actually like that one. I'll come in here and choose the church. And again, from whatever scene someone puts in the DVD remote and plays this from, it'll play from this point to the very end of the storyboard.